Well, I gotta say, you guys were right. Demon Slayer is awesome. Demon Slayer Kimetsu no Yaiba, the official title reads The Movie Infinity Castle, Part 1, Akaza Returns, is a brand new film from director Haruo Sotozaki and is the first part in a trilogy. And I want to get this out of the way. Just right off the top, I had never seen any Demon Slayer before going into this. I had never read any of the, the manga, if there is any. I had never seen any of the anime, and so I had no idea what I was stepping into. All I did know is that everybody on Earth seems to be talking about this movie. It is making so much money at the box office, and so it made me really curious, and I wanted to go watch this thing, and I also wanted to watch it completely blind. Like, I wanted to do no research before watching it, and watch it, and just kind of see what happens, see where it takes me. And although this is a movie that is heavily reliant on what has come before, you know what I mean, what has happened in the past, you can watch this movie and still have an amazing time. Guys, I gotta say, this movie freaking blew me away. I thought it was incredible. And I'm not gonna lie, they made me a fan of the Demon Slayer franchise, and that's a freaking awesome thing. So let's talk about it. What is up, my friends? My name is Danny. Welcome back to Jones Vibes. Today we are breaking down Demon Slayer Infinity Castle. If you'll excuse me, I'm not gonna say the entire thing. It's a very long title, but I do want to let you know, if you are by chance one of the people out there that haven't seen this movie, I'm not gonna spoil anything. This is a spoiler-free review, so don't worry about that. Also, be sure to leave your thoughts down in the comments while we're talking about the movie. I'd love to know your opinion, but without further ado, let's dive in. So, Demon Slayer Infinity Castle. Tanjiro Kamado and other members of the Demon Slayer Corps find themselves in an epic battle at Infinity Castle. And I want to break this review up a little bit. I want to tell you guys my thoughts just going into it blind, and then after the fact, now that I've looked into Demon Slayer, I've kind of caught myself up to what was happening in the story beforehand and gotten to know a lot of the stuff. I want to talk a bit about my feelings on Demon Slayer now. So, really, after watching this movie, even during watching this movie, the reason I say I was blown away is purely because of the spectacle of it all, the visuals of this thing. The animation is so freaking unique, and I am a fan of anime. I'm probably a bit more uncultured than a lot of people out there who have really just stuck to the staples, you know what I mean? But when it came to this movie and seeing that 98% rating on Rotten Tomatoes and seeing the amount of money that it was making, I was just like, this has to be different. I don't know what to expect, and truly it is. Like, there are so many visual sequences throughout this thing that have like a layer of smoke on top of them that looks real, and I think that's what separates it from a lot of different projects. It's bringing it to the cinematic experience. They really did it justice by bringing it to the big screen because it feels like it should be seen on the big screen. A lot of times, a lot of these projects come out in theaters and people go see them, and it's like, all right, kind of cool. Like, I would compare it to The Lord of the Rings, The War of the Rohirrim, you know what I mean? That was a movie that truly afterwards I felt like I could have just seen it on streaming. And so as I was watching this, I was just so caught up with what was happening on the screen that I kind of was even forgetting to pay attention to the plot. And that's a really good thing if you're going into it blind. You're just having a really great time. But as I was kind of making my way through the film, I got caught up to speed a bit. I feel like it does catch the viewer up to speed enough. You start to understand that there are these demon slayers, and the demons are very much like vampires, and they can absorb people and gain from their power. And there is this really bad demon named Muzan, and he's like the number one, and they are all trapped in this infinity castle. What took place beforehand, that's what I didn't know going on, so that's why I was a little bit lost as soon as it started. I was like, okay, we're just free falling, and we're just here now, and there are a lot of different characters. That's also something that's very different within anime. That's something that storytelling-wise, it doesn't have like a straight-through plot line. It's not like we are just with Tanjiro, and he is just Avatar Aang, and we are following his storyline the entire time. It is jumping around constantly from character to character to character, and so that's where you start to feel a little bit left out, because I have no idea who any of these people are, but truly for me, it was the demons that kept me freaking locked in. There are 3 different demons, I believe, if I'm remembering correctly, featured within this movie. 3 different fights that I want to break down. You have the demon Doma, who I freaking loved. You have Kaigato, I think was his name, and then you have Akaza. And I really thought it was a great way to start things with that Doma demon, the kind of like the cult leader demon who absorbs people, and he's just like super charming and over the top, and he just captures you. Like, me not being familiar with any of this, I was so enthralled by what was happening there, and the fight scenes were freaking epic. And then as you move on, you kind of start to understand the structure here. Okay, each one of these people is probably going to face their own demon, and they're just fighting to get to the top, and they clearly have to eliminate Muzan. Please, guys, go down in the comment section and correct me if I'm wrong about any of this. I'm trying to learn here. I'm brand new to the world of Demon Slayer, so if I'm getting this stuff wrong, let me know. Also, if I'm getting it right, please let me know, because I would love to know. But I think fans and just people in general should feel valid about their love for this franchise. There is absolutely a reason why it is getting huge numbers on the big screen. It's not just because, hey, it's an anime that's releasing on the big screen. It's because this franchise is really, really epic. The fight scenes really separate it. I think the thing that confused me the most about it, that I was so lost the entire time with like the fire breathing and the water breathing, that kind of stuff. I feel like you really needed to watch the anime to understand what all of these different characters were training in and what got them to that place. But again, narratively, they do a good enough job with the main characters that you are following, with having all of these sequences in a very, very standard anime way of like telling their backstory throughout these fight scenes. So like throwing a punch, and as the punch is being thrown, it tells this 5-minute thing about Tanjiro that I'm like, oh, okay, now I get it. And I liked that. It didn't just hang me out to dry. And so I had a good enough time. It flew by. It's a very long movie, to be honest, like over 2 hours, but it did fly by. I had a great time throughout the entire thing. I thought the score was the only thing for me that felt like it was a little bit lacking. Some people might disagree with me on that, but I thought the music could have been done a little bit better. But aside from that, really the characters, the fight scenes, I thought some of the dialogue was absolutely beautiful, like really well written and surprising at times. I just thought it was all great. And kind of like middle chunk of the review here, I do want to rank the 3 fights, because this is what stuck out the most for me, is dividing this movie into these sections. And I just want to go one by one and talk about which one I thought was better than the other. So the first one that I would rank, this would be at the lowest, but I still liked it a lot, would be the Kaigatsu versus Zenitsu. I think that's how you say his name. And what I got from Zenitsu was that he was kind of like a cowardly character at first, and then he grew up and he had this like Kaigato guy that was around, and he ended up turning into a demon, and because of that, the master, like, I don't know, the master died or something like that. And so there was this big battle, and what I appreciated the most out of that was it felt like two brothers fighting. It felt kind of like a Revenge of the Sith, Anakin versus Obi-Wan, and I could see how there's probably a lot of depth there, maybe, that people understand, and I bet it was very powerful. To me, it was a little bit lackluster just because I didn't quite understand all of that, but I loved that fight. I thought it was so freaking cool. I'm not going to tell you what happens, but I did really like that. Next, I would say the second one would be the Doma fight, and the part of the fight that I'm talking about is when he's fighting with Shinobu, and I love how every time I say a name, I'm so unsure about it that I'm like, Shinobu? But this is the fight that kind of opens the movie. I mean, you spend a ton of time within this fight, and it really is the one that introduced me to what the hell we were doing here, and I just thought Doma was absolutely classic. I really hope that we see Doma again if we move forward into these movies, and also I hope that he's within the anime, because I'm definitely going to be watching the anime now. But I think the best one, and you can tell by the title, I didn't realize that that was even in the title, but the Akaza Returns. The best fight is this Tanjiro and Akaza fight towards the end of the movie. It is just brutal. It's everything that you want it to be. You know what I mean? I'm sure as a fan, people are just going crazy for this fight, but for me, Tanjiro really felt like a main character. I don't know if he's the main character in the anime, but it felt like this penultimate battle that's been waiting for a long time, and these two characters really coming face to face and just having a crazy fight. There's another guy mixed in there, and I can't really remember his name, but there's another guy fighting at the same time. But I really liked the scenes where it was Tanjiro versus Akaza, and then what happens in the end of that fight, kind of like the climax of it, was really beautifully done, because it works up Akaza's character to be this demon that truly has a caring side to him. At least you see some of that. Like, being a demon hasn't erased all of the feelings and memories that he has, and so there is kind of a redemption arc in there somewhere. As evil as these freaking demons are, you see that. I love how they gave so much time to his backstory and showing us who Akaza is. I don't even know this freaking franchise, and this freaking villain is one of my favorites now. I absolutely loved it. I thought that scene was so cinematic. I thought it was so freaking beautiful. The colors, all the fire and the whatever they were doing, I don't know. I really enjoyed it. And that was the part of the movie, which it's towards the end, but that was the part of the movie where I was like, God, dude, what in the world is going going on? This is really good. And so, yeah, that would be my number one. That would be my favorite fight. And honestly, as for the movie as a whole, I just really liked it. Like I said, I think I'm going to go back and watch the anime and try to catch myself up to speed. And when these next two parts come out, I want to be ready for it. And now, after the film, I did go ahead and do a little bit of a deep dive thanks to Screen Crush. Ryan Airy just always doing it big. But most of what I got from that coverage and that background was about Muzan. And I understood that Muzan kind of trapped all of the characters at the end of the last arc. And they all thought that they had gotten him, but then he pulled this sort of Infinity War type move and trapped them all down in the Infinity Castle. And you can imagine anybody in the real world that saw this happen, all of a sudden, like, all these characters vanish. I don't know how all that works, but I just thought that was so badass, such a badass concept. And I also do love the fact that Muzan is the end all. You do have this climactic big bad throughout this franchise that they're working towards, and hopefully in that third movie, that trilogy, it really does feel earned. But thinking about the movie after the fact, after doing a little bit of research, seeing that Akaza is an upper 3 demon, just kind of getting to know some of the words and why these characters are doing certain things, and also how many different characters there are, and how like the second movie as well as the third movie are going to be transitioning and focusing on these other characters. There's also still a lot of unresolved stuff that we're going to see here. It's really exciting. Like, that deep dive really gave me a yearning to want to go back and watch the anime and get caught up. And so, I don't know, props to Ryan Airy for putting together like such an amazing video that catches you up to speed in a way. But I do want to give the movie credit just for the fact that they did make it accessible enough for somebody who doesn't know the franchise at all to follow along, kind of. I honestly wouldn't expect that from an anime. I really wouldn't. I would expect an anime just to be like, if you're not a part of this thing, stay out of this thing. You know what I mean? I don't know why I've always kind of gotten that feeling from certain animes, but it's like there are a lot of people out there that sort of gatekeep their thing with like certain animes, and if you like this anime, you're on like the outside, and you have to like this super deep cut anime to actually be an anime fan. You know what I mean? And so seeing that they're bringing this to the big screen, I think it's going to do wonders for anime in general. You know what I mean? It's going to do wonders for animation, but also since it's doing such big numbers at the box office, I think we're going to see a lot more of this type of thing. And so, yeah, man, I really, really enjoyed it. I would love to know your guys' thoughts. Let me know that down in the comments. I do want to give my Jones Vibes star rating, and my friends, I'm giving Demon Slayer Infinity Castle 4 out of 5 stars. I had a really, really great time within this movie. I'm looking forward to the rest, and I'm looking forward to watching the anime. But also, don't forget to subscribe, but more than anything, my friends, make sure you're out there keeping up the good vibes. I will see you in the next video, all right? Peace!